Popper is a coffee roaster. It's based on a 1970s popcorn popper that people used to roast coffee in. What we want to do is take everything that was good about this and add control of the airflow, the fan speed, the heat, and the time so that it has an automatic cooling cycle. You can roast for 7 minutes by default, add a 3-minute automatic cooling cycle, and then your roast is finished. At any time, you can add and take away time using the little dial at the bottom. So let's talk a little bit more about the Popper coffee roaster. Some of the details: how much coffee does it roast? Does it roast light roast well? Does it roast dark roast well? What kind of a roaster is it? And who would be happy with this machine and who might be a little disappointed with it? So first of all, Popper is based on an old popcorn popper. It was used for people to roast coffee back in the 70s. When it came out, people realized right away that, hey, this can do some other things. So this is the same type of air roasting that other roasters use. Some that come to mind are like the Cafe Logic or the Ikawa coffee roaster. The great thing about the Popper is it's under $100, unlike those other machines. Now, unlike popcorn, when you roast coffee in a popcorn popper, the coffee stays in there. It doesn't eject out into a bowl. So what you have to do is invert the popper and cool it in a colander. You also have no control of the heat, no timer. So what you get is what you get. But people do some amazing modifications with these, run them from their computer, use Artisan to log the roasts. They're pretty fantastic. Now with the popper, what we've done is we've added control of the heat level. It has 7 heat stages for you to create profiles or to find the roast level that you want. It has a fan speed control, high and low, and it has a timer with a default 7-minute roast cycle and a 3-minute cooling cycle. So this cools your coffee. At the end of your roast, you'll want to do the same thing. You take off the top and you invert it to finish the cooling a little bit more in like a colander or something like that. That's what I use. And Popper roasts 90 grams is the default. Some people who have like stronger power supply find that they can actually step up another 10 grams, even 15 grams. Some people who unfortunately have houses with old knob and tube wiring, or where the electric outlet they're using is a really long ways away from their power supply, from their breaker box, will find they need to reduce the batch size a little. And that's all dependent on whether the green coffee is agitating and moving. You want the coffee to be moving inside of here right from the get-go so that it roasts evenly and doesn't burn. So another consideration is, what kind of roast is this good for? Light roast, dark roast, espresso? So we found Popper's really nice for pour over drip type coffee, lighter medium roasts. With darker roasts, it's not so great. You reach a threshold where the temperature is too high and the popper heating coil will shut off temporarily while you're roasting. So that's frustrating for people who want like Starbucks level roasts. But we can reach second crack here and get some very tangy dark roast tastes with the popper, and have done a lot of delicious darker roasts with the popper. It's also very nice for light roasts. And we have an entire article focusing on how to use the heat dial to create some basic heat profiles. Although it's really not necessary. We find that you can start out, use heat level 2 for the entire 7-minute batch and get a nice city roast. Heat level 3 should give you a nice full city roast. And heat level 4 will get you right to the verge of second crack, a little bit into it. Now, some people assume 90 grams of coffee, that's between a third and a half cup of green coffee, just isn't enough coffee for them. They say they go through that in one morning. Well, the fact is, a lot of people who want to step up to a half pound or 1 pound roaster actually realize that roasting many small batches, especially when they only take 7 minutes and they're so easy to do, is kind of fun. You get to have all these diverse coffees to try, different roast levels, different varieties and origins of coffee. And you really get to enjoy the diversity of roasting when you're creating many small batches. One group of people that doesn't work so well for are people who do espresso, because with 90 grams, once you're kind of getting your grinder and your machine dialed in, getting a good shot, you're already out of your coffee. But I will say this, air roasters and espresso don't normally go that well together. Air roasting is kind of fast and develops the coffee in a way that's more dynamic in a pour over brew, but a little imbalanced for espresso. However, using some basic heat profiles I've developed with the popper, I'm getting some outstanding espresso roasts. These are roasts where I extend the 7-minute roast time just a couple minutes to like 9 minutes, getting a very balanced and beautiful cup. So one of the greatest things about Popper is the price point. At under $100, it sort of packs a lot of features, and yet it's very simple. So if you want to start out at the absolute base and go with a popcorn popper, we think that's outstanding. You learn a lot. If you want to kind of step up just one notch higher and get some control of the heat level, something where you're able to actually do some manual roast profiles, I think the popper is a great choice. And if you have any questions about it or something we didn't talk about here, let us know in the comments and we'll reply and help us improve our description of Popper Coffee Roaster. Thanks.